After a car accident left me bedridden, my stepmom persuaded my dad that I had stolen the car without her knowledge. So without hearing my side, my dad told me I deserved it and kicked me out of the house. 2 years ago, I got rear-ended by a drunk driver while practicing for my license test. I was only 3 blocks from home when it happened. The impact was so severe I fractured my spine in 2 places and shattered my left leg. Doctors said I'd be bedridden for at least 3 months, maybe longer. The physical pain was excruciating, but what destroyed me was lying in that hospital bed when my dad walked in with my stepmom. Before I could even explain what happened, she told him I'd stolen the car to go joyriding with friends. She said she'd explicitly told me no that morning, and I took it anyway behind her back. I tried to defend myself, but my dad just stared at me with this look of pure disappointment. He said I deserved what happened for being so reckless, and that he couldn't trust me anymore. I was 18 years old recovering from a severe accident, and he kicked me out while I was still in traction, unable to walk. The truth was, I'd asked my stepmom that morning if I could practice driving. My test was in 4 days, and I wanted to be ready. She'd smiled and said, "Of course, take the car, honey." I even remember her exact words because she seemed so supportive. "Be safe, sweetie, and don't go too far." But she'd always resented how close my dad and I were growing up. My birth mom signed away her rights when I was born, so it had just been us two for years. When he married my stepmom, I was 7, and I tried so hard to make it work and accept her. She never wanted to be my mom, though. As I got older, we argued constantly over small things, and she'd twist everything I said to make me look bad to my dad. My grandparents took me in and helped me through months of painful physical therapy. My dad paid the medical bills because of insurance requirements, but never visited once, not a single time. He sent exactly 2 text messages in 2 years. Both said I needed to apologize to my stepmom before we could have any kind of relationship again. I rebuilt my entire life without him. Got into community college on academic scholarships, started working part-time at a coffee shop. My grandmother and I became incredibly close during this time. She'd tell me stories about my dad as a kid and how disappointed she was in the man he'd become, how he'd changed after marrying my stepmom. Last October, my grandmother passed away suddenly from a heart attack. At the funeral, my dad tried to approach me, but I turned around and walked away. A week later, her lawyer called me in for the reading of her will. That's when I found out my grandmother had been sitting on a massive inheritance from her parents. She'd lived modestly her whole life in a small house and invested everything wisely. She left her entire estate to me, $2.3 million plus her fully paid off house and all her assets. My dad and stepmom had no idea she was wealthy. Nobody in the family did. She'd kept it completely secret. 3 days after I received the inheritance, my phone rang from an unknown number. It was my stepmom, and she was sobbing hysterically. She said my dad's paper company had gone bankrupt after his business partner embezzled funds and fled the country. They'd lost everything. Their house was in foreclosure. They had $60,000 in credit card debt and nowhere to turn. She begged me to help them. Said she knew we'd had our differences, but family helps family in times of crisis. I almost laughed out loud at the irony. Then her voice changed, got quieter and shaky. She admitted she'd lied about the car accident, said she was jealous of my relationship with my dad and wanted to drive a wedge between us. She'd seen an opportunity when the accident happened and taken it without thinking about the consequences. She said she'd been living with the guilt ever since, and it was eating her alive. She begged me not just for money, but for forgiveness and understanding. I let her finish talking, let her cry and plead. Then I asked her one simple question. "Have you told my dad the truth about what really happened that day?" The line went completely silent for what felt like forever. After maybe 30 seconds, she whispered no in the smallest voice. She said she couldn't tell him because he'd leave her immediately and she'd have absolutely nothing left. I said, "When you're ready to tell him what you did to his son, maybe we can talk about helping you. But until then, you're on your own." Then I hung up. That was 3 months ago. My dad still doesn't know she lied. He still thinks I stole that car and deserved everything that happened to me. She calls me every few weeks from different numbers begging me to reconsider. Each time I ask if she's told him the truth yet. Each time she says no. Their house sold at auction last month. I bought it through an LLC. They have no idea it's mine. I'm their new landlord now.